Hi, Traci Bogan here, author, world traveler, and dreampreneur. I have a friend on Facebook named Chaz Smith who sent me a message this morning and asked if I could give him a couple of pointers to help him get started for a fresh 2012. So, Chaz, this video is for you. In the 10 years that I've been backpacking around the world and talking with thousands and thousands of people, I've discovered that the number one reason why people don't have what it is that they want in their life is because they don't have a chief aim or a burning desire for its achievement. And they don't know why it is that they want it. So if I could offer you any two pieces of information or any two tips to help you get started and stake your claim and make a fresh start for 2012, those are the two. If you're up for the challenge, I would like for you to take a notepad and go into a quiet space and reach in and dig deep and ask yourself the question what it is that you want. If your life could look like anything, if you could write it and script it and redesign it, if you could have, do, and be anything that you wanted, and time, money, and failure were not an object, what would your life look like? What do you want? What do you really, 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 really want? And write that down. And after you have that answer written down, ask yourself why you want that. Why is that so important for you to have? And when you get that answer written down, ask yourself why again. And when you get that answer written down, ask yourself why again. And go 10 layers deep. This is like peeling back the layers of an onion to find the why that makes you cry, the why that moves you and motivates you and keeps you alive. When you have those two things, you are 10 steps ahead of most of the rest of the population, and you're on a great track to getting started. So today's the day, now's the opportunity to plant your stake in the ground and make your claim. It just starts with knowing what you want and knowing why, and the rest will fall into place, okay? I don't know how many of you know my story. It's long. I'll keep it as concise as I can. But I had already had a successful career, and I was already living in the place that I wanted to. I was living in Hawaii for 10 years, working for a world-renowned plastic surgeon as a scrub nurse, and I had a life of grandeur. Believe me, I had one of the best, funnest lives you can imagine. And then I began going out 8 days a week and indulging in substances that are not true to who I know that I am, and I was living the life of Riley and getting a little too big for my britches. So one day I woke up with one of the worst hangovers I ever had, and I looked into the mirror and I asked myself the question, what do you want? What do you really, 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 really want? And I realized my dream was to go around the world and that I was more than the life that I was living. And I made a decision. On the 76th hour, I got onto an airplane and I went into the unknown. I went backpacking around the world for 2 years. And it was on that journey around the world, I went to a spiritual retreat, and my yoga guru asked me and had me do the same exercise that I just gave to you. It started with the identifying what I wanted in my life, which was to be a world-renowned author and professional speaker so I could share my message and my mission with you. I wanted high impact, high influence, and high income, and to empower millions of people to achieve their goals, fulfill their dreams, and live a life of purpose so they could have, do, and be more than what they believed was possible. And that I was going to use my life story to engage in others and uplift others to live theirs. And so when I got home from that, I was all pumped up and excited to start this new life. That I knew that I didn't want to go back to life as I knew it, and I knew I didn't want to go back to the medical field, and I didn't want to be tied down to a $20-some an hour job for the rest of my life. I knew that there was something more. I identified what it was, and I knew why I wanted it, but by the time I got home, I forgot the why, and I was focused on how. How am I going to be an author? I've never written a book. I didn't even know anybody who had written a book. I've never passed an English class. I've never had a writing course. How am I going to go talk to an audience? I don't even like public speaking. And I got really stuck on how I was going to make it all happen. And then I read two amazing books, The Magic of Thinking Big and Start With Why. And those two books helped mold and shape me and change the course of my life. It helped deepen my purpose and get me on track. And so I went back from focusing on how to focusing on why. And I wrote the why down. I wrote my why down, and I wrote my mission statement down. And I looked at it every single day, and I repeated it every single day. And then, in my mind, I became an author. I became an author. I was an author before one single word of my book was ever written. I had my dad take a piece of pine board and paint it to the size of the book that I knew I was going to write, and I created the cover. And I was an author of this book that didn't exist. And I practiced every day, and I read my statement on why I was an author and how I was going to impact people's lives. And this book was so real that my mind didn't know the difference between what was not real and what was real. And this became this, my very first book. And it's all has to do with the power of focusing on the why and not the how. When you believe in that why and you know your why, when you know your why, the how will show up, and that will become real. So whatever it is in your life, if you know what it is that you want and you focus on the why that you want it, you too, just like me, will trick your brain into not knowing what's real and what's not real, and you can make that come true for you too. I hope that this serves you in some kind of way, and I hope that you have a prosperous 2012.